Hi, I'm Sophie.
Hi, I'm Paul, and we are
SP Film Viewers.
So the way things have fallen this month, in terms of the films we're covering with guests, it's going to be a bit different.
Right.
And the sort of overlying theme is going to be, how to put in a catchy title of sorts, but films that we've covered in one way or another, but haven't officially released, or a film you've kind of partially seen, but I have all the way through, and then kind of going through it. So it's not really a catchy title, but it's going to just a mishmash of things for this month.
It's like the longest title ever.
Yeah.
So films that we maybe have both seen but not reviewed, or films that we have seen or you have seen, and I've only seen half of it.
Part way through, and then you've gone now.
That's still a lot of films. But that means really basically what you're saying to me is part of this is going to be where I'm not going to enjoy myself. And parts of the films...
To be honest, I think it's going to only really be one of them. That's one we'll come with a guest. But the other ones I'll have to think about for the Pateron pick.
Right.
With something with that. But two of them, I guarantee, are good anyway. And the first one is The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I expect a bit more excitement there.
No, I'm happy. Yeah. I liked that film.
We watched it was like at the beginning, it was going to be one of the early podcast episodes, like way back in 2020. But for some reason, we never got around to doing a full episode.
I didn't know we did anything on it.
I think there was going to be a snippet. Obviously, I think when I was going to do that format at the beginning, but I think it was like when we're doing those really, really short reviews.
Like keys.
Yeah, and Ghostbusters at the very start, and then it's like, now we need to do proper full-length ones and stuff, so...
No, I'm looking forward to it. The only problem is the David Bowie song, but I'll get past it. I'll get over it. But we've got Hermione Granger in it, so... I mean, why wouldn't I love it?
Well, for those of you who don't know, the film synopsis is about a 15-year-old introvert called Charlie who enters a high school and is nervous about his new life. When he befriends his seniors, he learns to cope with his friend's suicide and his tumultuous past. That's a very cool word.
It is? I don't actually know what it means, I'm not going to lie. And act like, yes.
I know what it means without Googling it. Something. Well, yeah, it's like a high school drama of sorts.
It is, but I feel like it's to do with people who aren't popular and all of that. It's kind of showing you that people are different and it's okay to be different. So it's a good message throughout, I think. And actually, the quirky you are and the weirder you are, the better you will be as an adult. Yeah,
and what's more interesting about this as well, because obviously we were sort of just getting into talking about films critically and stuff, so obviously you did like it when we were watching it, so it'd be interesting to see how you approach
I dislike it.
With the more critical eyes, I suppose, as you go through it.
Are you saying I'm getting better with age? Is that what you're saying, Paul?
Yeah, I guess.
Growing like a fine wine.
Yeah.
You're stuck with me now, you have to say yes.
Right, well, we'll back very soon with our thoughts on the perks of being a wallflower.
Hey, everyone! Everybody! Everyone? Raise your glasses to Charlie.
What did I do?
You didn't do anything. We just want to toast our new friend. You see things, and you understand. You're a wallflower. What is it? What's wrong?
I didn't think anyone noticed me.
Well, we didn't think there was anyone cool left to meet. So, come on, everyone. To Charlie.
To Charlie.
And we're back, having rewatched Perks of Being Wallflower. How was it on the second time watch?
It didn't disappoint me. Obviously, I think the first time I quite enjoyed watching Perks of Being a Wallflower. It's funny how you forget things, and still, yet again, with this film, the ending, I must have somehow suppressed it a little bit.
A bit like the character Charlie having the post-traumatic stress.
I've buried that bit because I was completely shocked again after watching this and how it ended again. And it was like, why?
Admittedly, I kind of the same way as well. I couldn't remember all the bits about it. And this will be like third or fourth time maybe seeing it now.
I think this is my second, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. So even if you're suppressing it and still not remembering all of it, then that shows. And it is the main bit at the end. It's like the reason why Charlie is the way he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched it and was like, felt like it was watching it the first time, even though I knew the characters. I knew Charlie, I knew Patrick, I knew Sam. I remembered their quirks and characteristics.
Mm-hmm.
Just didn't remember the full plot line. Which I don't know if that's a compliment to the film or if it is a bit of this is a bit hard touching, I don't want to remember that part of it. Because we do that as humans. We always try and remember the
good parts,
good.
Yeah.
Or the really, really, really bad. Like it's one or the other. If it's just kind of in the middle, you don't really remember it, do you?
No, but I'm sure that's a sort of credit to the characters if you still remember how they are, the mannerisms and how they work together.
Patrick is amazing. I absolutely love Patrick as a character, and I kind of saw you a little bit as an introverted Charlie.
I definitely see, especially watching back on this time as well, like I see myself a lot from maybe certainly how I was in high school, grammar school.
Upper school, yeah.
Yeah, for us. How he was, in terms of obviously like trying to fit in and everything. Wasn't a complete like shunned out in the corner like he is, obviously like starting a new school and everything like that. Obviously, I did have.
Did you go, when you went into, I know you had this secondary school and then upper school, but from there, like, did you have any primary friends, like schools, like friends that came to your upper school? Or was it like you started a whole new school with not knowing anybody?
I think there might have been a couple, but I wasn't very close friends with them. They kind of just, I didn't have a big connection with them. But
yeah, because I think that's the difference with Charlie. It's like he's kind of, I think he's missed a year or something. He's had to be out on, like, or rather summer holidays. He's been on, like, in hospital.
So I feel it's almost like kept back a year, essentially. Yeah. So that's kind of the sort of the struggles he has because, like, Sam and Patrick are seniors, and so he's freshman. So he's got another year or whatever.
He does seem younger than them, though. You can see, like, an age gap in between them. But I feel like for you, looking at this film when I watched it, I felt like, I don't know if Alex is going to absolutely hate me or not, or if he's even seen this film, but Alex is Patrick, but obviously Alex isn't gay.
No, he's not.
Oh, well, I assume he's not. But he is like that kind of outgoing, flamboyant, quite pushes his friends out of the comfort zone, but in a good way, in an encouraging way, to kind of like, no, you can be more outspoken than just be introverted in your corner, and kind of gives you that confidence. And I feel like Alex was that person for you, especially in that group of friends that you did have and do have. He was the one where he was a bit of like that you wouldn't think he would hang out with you guys, I guess. A little bit. He's a little bit cooler on that level. Even though he's nerdy, he is, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
But to look at him, you wouldn't think...
Are you talking about how he is now, as comparative when...
I think so, yeah, because I didn't know him in school, so I can't really compare. Yeah, so it's slightly
different, but we had the sort of connection from the get-go in grammar school when we started. So we were in the same class and everything, so kind of just struck up with Tim, our other friend, from there. And so we've sort of been friends ever since, really. So, but I guess from a standpoint of if you were to, even from now, he's kind of like how Patrick is in kind of like, in a supportive friend, like, oh, here's to Paul or whatever, and, you know, like, when he's obviously, Patrick's doing a toast came to and introduced him into the island of misfits.
I feel like that's what you kind of have with your friendship, and I'm so glad that these people are in your life and came to you at school for that kind of era, because school is hard, and I think this is what this film does show you. And it's like, why is people so horrible in school? Because when you go to a workplace, you can't be that nasty. So where does it come from? Why are teenagers and children
it's just the hormones and just not able to cope with what's going on in the minds in a sense of like how they're truly feeling. It's hard to pinpoint down.
You always want to impress, and I think this is something where it carries on with in life, and then you get to like your 30s and you realise, why do I give a crap of what everyone else is thinking about me? Like, as long as I like myself and the people that I really care about like me, who cares about the rest of the world, really, in that sense? But when you're in school, that is all you care and all you think about is, what is everybody else thinking of me? What do they perceive of me? And I think Charlie, bless him, he has such a bad trauma in his life that he then is such a people pleaser. Everything that he's done, he's always doing it to please other people. He never puts himself first. He never thinks of, oh, well, what would Charlie want to do? Like, even in school, he loves writing and wants to be a writer and an author. But he knows all the answers to what the teacher's saying, but he doesn't have the confidence to raise his hand because he knows, actually, oh, if I say this, I'm going to probably get picked on.
Yeah, I was also a bit like that as well. I saw myself in that as well. Like, how even if I sort of knew the answer, half the time it was because I didn't want to look like an idiot in front of everybody and let people like laugh, which is probably a common occurrence in schools and stuff. But even if I was sort of semi-sure that was the answer, I was like him. I didn't want to put hand up and write it down on a pad of paper like he did. But Paul Rudd, who plays the teacher in that, and Mr. Anderson,
Ant-Man.
He's kind of subdued in that. It wasn't anything silly or anything like that, and he seemed like a really humble role for him. Yeah,
I don't know if you've had one of those teachers like I did at school, like one of those teachers that just always was there for you and encouraged you.
I can't really say there was really not in that sort of like teacher's pet bond or anything like that, but there were some ones that are sort of characters or whatever, but they wouldn't like singling out.
Did you not have like an art teacher that really liked you? Because you're quite good at art, aren't you? And drawing.
I can't really say that there was. I mean, it was more like if the one that was, it was just again like more collectively for the class that got on with everybody, were nice enough, but no.
Mine was called Mr. Vickery. He was my science teacher. He was like this lovely little old professor. Like, he had a moustache.
Okay.
And like squiggly hair, and he always wore a lab coat.
Yeah.
And I don't know, he was like a dad kind of sweet character figure that would always like, even if you were struggling, he would support you and help you with whatever you were doing.
Yeah.
Because I was a bit of the opposite to you. I probably didn't know the answer to these questions. And then if they picked on me to answer it, I'd be like, I don't want to say anything because I'm going to, at least you'd know the answer and you wouldn't look completely stupid, whereas I wouldn't even know what to say. But I do think within all of this, like Patrick and Sam, their characters are just brilliantly written. You've got Patrick, who's just a ball full of energy. He's brilliantly played. He's gay, he's flamboyant, but at the same time, it's not all revolved around that. There is a bit, obviously, of how his relationship is with the footballer.
Yeah, the jock, yeah.
Which, it just makes me think you deserve so much better and you deserve to be respected so much better. Like, why are you allowing...
Well, yeah, it's like, what's the quote? Is
Charlie says it, doesn't he?
We accept the love we think we deserve. It's, obviously, I think we said this in the when we first recorded this, how it's like, even at the time this is set, it's kind of a bit of a taboo subject to be like, coming out as homosexual.
I think it depends on what family you grow up in as well. Still today, it can be hard, and
because that does obviously occur when the truth comes out about that. Is the jock's father like beats him up?
Yeah,
it's his son up who's the jock.
But even the jock says to Patrick, "Just go, leave me. I deserve this," kind of thing, and he sees it as like it's his punishment. And even at school, they won't acknowledge him because he's in the misfit crowd, he's a nerd.
Yeah.
And also it's uncool for being a footballer and gay. And it's like just these cliche of being stereotyped into these niches of what a jock should just be cool and date their cheerleader or whatever. You know,
that kind of conformity that high school has.
I think it is the worst place ever. Is high school. I feel like even if you're popular, it's still the most toxic environment you can actually be in.
I think this. I don't know if you think the same. That this is probably like one of the most authentic portrayals of a high school.
Yes. Yeah. I think Mean Girls gets it, but it's in a different kind of way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's almost like exaggerated. Obviously, you've got pins down more of the little social groups that's going on there. I mean, don't get me wrong, that I do like that film because it's kind of got all those quotes like "You go, Glen Coco" and kind of stuff. And
two for you, like Glen Coco.
Yeah. Stop trying to make fetch a thing and all that kind of stuff.
It is brilliant, and I think it shows the popularity to its extreme and what it can do. Mm-hmm. Basically wanting to be on top and be popular. Whereas this is a different group of people who are the misfits, who aren't part of a clique. I feel like if it was Mean Girls and Lindsay Lohan's character had stayed with Damien and Janice, then this would kind of be a little bit that way. Because you've not meaning that in a bad way, but you've got your kind of gay representation. You've got Janice and Sam, who are quite like independent women who are outspoken and such. So
yeah, I guess
a bit of a spin-off possibly would have been this. Maybe not as dark, obviously, for Lindsay Lohan's character as Charlie. I do feel like with the certain films we are covering, there's a little bit like a mental health kind of awareness within this.
Yeah, this kind of sort of been maybe a bit heavy on that unintentionally, I guess, or like coming of age stories or that kind of thing, I guess. But
I think it's actually a really, really important topic, and I think it is actually being more made aware now of this, because suppressing this situation, obviously for Charlie, is like ends up a worse scenario and the darkness of it. And I think even though it's so light-hearted throughout, really, and it's showing him embracing his student years and kind of flying the nest, so to speak, it also shows the impacts of what family members, other people can do, which he'll be scarred for life with that. Charlie, with what his aunt did.
Well, yeah, but again, he didn't truly know what was going on there. It's like coming back to him through the post-traumatic.
He really loved his aunt. He seemed to really, really care for her, didn't he?
Yeah, but he didn't quite realise he sort of suppressed what was really going on.
I think we all do that to a certain degree, but obviously he was only little as well, and he always was worried about that it was him that killed his aunt, because he wanted her to go away.
Yeah, without him realising.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it tackles it very well, and even coming to because obviously that kind of bit at the end with sort of like, is this the breaking point for Charlie and everything after he's always gone through? It's like, does it actually feel like quite sort of semi-emotional more this time coming down to it? And there's certain other aspects near the end as well. I always felt like I was going to start crying because this is the dialogue and the music and stuff. But
yes, let's just speak about the music as well on this.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got David Bowie, which we all know my issues, but it is. You did say the way that it's filmed, the way it's kind of displayed, and that moment through the tunnel.
This is. I've said this before as well. I always think of when I hear Heroes, I think of that being like just that sequence doing through the tunnel song. That sticks in my mind all the time. Obviously, it was done in Jojo Rabbit at the end, that slightly differently, but and there was a German interpretation of it. But still, I do always think that this is like such a powerful moment. Comes back through twice, but
it does. To my dismay, but it is done really, really well. Yeah. A part of me does think, could we not have a different song? No. But I don't really know what song would be as iconic. And
I'll ask you now if you can think of what, if you were to have a personal choice for you to have a tunnel song, what would that be?
I don't know. Do you have one? Don't say Heroes.
No. Obviously, if it was something different or certain like for a modern age song, but I would maybe think, because obviously it being like a nighttime setting, and off the top of my head I think of Blinding Lights for The Weekend.
Yes, now you said that, I knew you were going to go with The Weekend when you said nighttime drive, because that's always what you are.
I feel like certainly that After Hours album is like a nighttime driving. I don't know, there's something about it that just always appeals to me in that way, or just that the music from that just feels like it's just like not necessarily driving through the city, but or anywhere really. That's kind of just feels like that's what you cruising around and stuff. I don't know. But,
yeah, I was just thinking of mine. I was like, no, I agree with you.
Well,
the only other thing I can think of is Arena, Sawayama. Like, but I'm trying to think of which one at the moment.
Okay.
Apart from just the first album, like everything's just brilliant on there. To be fair, but maybe Dynasty would be kind of that. That is my favourite.
Powerful song.
Yeah.
But we get some other songs as well peppered throughout the film as well.
It feels like we kind of spoke about the era of this as well, because obviously the music they're listening to is a lot older than what actually the film is kind of setting for. So I think it's like 90s vibes.
Yeah.
And obviously
it's set in the 90s, yeah.
We're 90 babies, aren't we? Well, you're just out of it. But listening to the older kind of music that's not maybe like your Backstreet Boys or Boys Own bands or anything like that.
They wouldn't even be a concept.
Well, they're not. Well, that 2000s. I always get confused. But they're kind of...
No. Yeah.
Spice Girls would be 90s, wouldn't it?
Late 90s, I think. Mid-90s.
Whereas this is more like the 80s, 70s kind of music that they listen to, that the mum and dads would have probably grown up with.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's more like an iconic thing. Because like when you're a teen... Like, you were listening to R&B, anything you top charts, wasn't it? Top 40s.
Yeah, just the radio. That's how I started getting into sort of music.
Yeah. But also what I like is the fact that they've got these tapes that they record on, kind of the nostalgic of the 90s.
Making a mixtape of stuff like, I heard this song on the radio today, I just recorded it, and then just put it. It must have been a bit of a faff, but that's what they did.
Yeah.
Like in the 60s, 70s, that was the thing they had to do. You'd have had to press play and record what was on the radio, and just to get that one song just at the right moment,
it's
without
timing.
like the adverts or anything, or the host, the DJ talking over it or something,
or waiting for the DJ to end and then timing it, but then you've missed the first start of the song
or something. Yeah,
but I feel like that's what was good about when we grew up. I feel like our generation has a bit more patience, whereas I think anyone who grows up now or in the 2000s or whatever, everything just comes instantly. You don't have to, go through that much effort.
Because if them, they'd be like, it's like, I don't know what the Tunnel song is, which I thought, I feel like you may have done, but I don't know if it wasn't so easily like in the charts at that point, maybe to find hearers. But
wasn't, because it's the 90s, so it was released, I'm sure, earlier.
Oh yeah,
on than that.
But
so if they've heard it on the radio, if their parents haven't brought them up with that kind of music, you wouldn't know who that is.
Yeah. Whereas now, be like, I don't know what that song is. I don't know, you YouTube it or Spotify.
Put it on Spotify,
yeah.
And then you know it, you can listen to all the lyrics.
Playlist, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's slightly different from today's standpoint. But
I feel like you're a little bit of Charlie with that as well, with the music genres that you've got. Because like Sam does say, you're so much more vast and eclectic than I was at your
really good
age.
Taste. Yeah.
And I think that's you kind of delve into things where it's like the unknown a little bit, and I feel like you do that with films and music. So it shows sometimes when you are kind of more introverted, you have more time to find these little hidden gems.
Yeah, I'm not so much on books, because obviously Charlie's wants to be a writer, and he collects a lot of books, which I think obviously I didn't really look like too much into what's on his shelf, but I think they must be kind of important to like things that are going on in his life, like you do with music. Sometimes you might remember a certain piece of music, or listen to an artist at a certain age when you're feeling like the emo phase or something like
My Chemical Romance comes back to my mind.
Yeah, things like that. But it's, I think on going back to it and like, be like, okay, what is the book that you're reading, or what's the title of it, and like what does that mean for in terms of what you're going through, I suppose, at that point.
Yeah. No, I agree. And obviously his teacher had a big impact on that. With the books that he kind of passed on to Charlie and assigned him extra homework to.
Yeah.
And I do believe, like, by the end of this film, Charlie will be an author. Like, I can see that already, even though the film doesn't tell me he will be. That's how I kind of envision.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting, like the fact that he's kind of like writing to like dear friend and all this stuff. I feel like it's more like writing to himself, basically. Like you do in writing a diary, I think, rather than that specific person, I think.
Like, I was thinking it could be a pen pal, so it could be somebody all the way over the other side of the world, and like it's an email kind of thing where they're kind of talking to one another and it's, this person doesn't know me, I'm never going to meet them. There's no issues me telling them anything, because what repercussion is there going to be?
Yeah, feel comfortable kind of spilling your guts out.
Yeah. Like MSN days. Kind of.
Really?
Well, I won't spill my guts out, but, you know, you could, like, go home from school and then you still be talking to your friends online about things that had happened throughout your day.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, you didn't get much computer time, did you?
No, it was like a shared computer with the household, and obviously
the
that's
dial-up
not days. Yeah, it wasn't great. And before all, you know, wireless broadband.
Yeah,
stuff,
do you remember the noise that?
Yeah, it was horrible. It was so horrible.
And the fact that if, like, somebody was on the phone, I'm sure it cut your internet off or something ridiculous. You couldn't have both.
Yeah.
Just thinking about these things is crazy.
Kids have it so easy these days.
They do, don't they?
Yeah. So for Charlie getting involved with, like, people at the parties and stuff, obviously he's quite a little bit naive on how things are, and they're not necessarily doing it in a bad way or anything, like, you know, like really like peer pressure or anything like that.
No.
Because it's like, oh, have a brownie, Charlie. And it's like, oh, thanks, I'm really hungry, but it's actually obviously laced with weed. Yeah.
Bless him, he's so sweet and sincere, and he's really kind when he's even, like, doped up. He's quite spaced out, I feel he's quite chilled and mellowed.
Yeah. So I kind of find interesting about that. Obviously, it's a bit like being drunk a little bit, where you're kind of like revealing stuff that you wouldn't normally do.
Yeah.
And like, I think I recall at that point he's like talking openly about his friend's suicide. That's why he had the year off in the hospital to recover from that, his friend's suicide. So it kind of opens up to Sam about that when she's like making him a milkshake in the kitchen.
Which I think is really endearing, because she's like she really cares about him, and she's a bit of a mother figure towards him, but obviously comes a bit more towards the end. But she does...
Oh, even before then, yeah.
Does kind of be a bit like, what have you done to him? Why are you, like, why did you give him a brownie? Like...
Yeah.
And can we just kind of recommend and condone the fact that Hermione Granger in this is obviously doing an American accent. I don't think she's doing a pretty bad job of this throughout.
No, I can't really say. It's kind of, I guess, sort of semi-generic, but... I
think she does a really good role. It's so nice.
I think this was her first acting role after Harry Potter, the Deathly Hallows, or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a different character to Hermione as well. And I think that's what's really refreshing, is seeing her in something else. Like, obviously we saw her in Belle, the Beauty and the Beast, and that's kind of Hermione pretty much, but Disney-fied.
Don't think we finished that, you know.
Did we not?
No, we didn't.
Oh, is that because of you?
I think I got, like, at a certain point, like...
I think I'd finish it, because I love Beauty and the Beast. It's my favourite Disney.
But then you'd be like, no, just watch Beauty and the Beast. It's way better.
True.
Can't beat the...
There's a Christmas Beauty and the Beast. Do you remember that one? It's a Christmas special. I'll have to show you it this year.
Okay. That's something we cover then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think, to be fair, all of them are really good friends towards Charlie, and they do care. It gets a little bit bitter in the end, where Charlie really heavily depends on his friends, and he kind of screws up a little bit, bless him.
That is sort of down to his whole mental health. Because there's a scene in that when it comes to the truth or dare, with that he's going out with this girl called Mary Elizabeth, who
is a Buddhist.
Yeah. And she kind of finds an attachment to him from the fact when Charlie steps in for somebody doing the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
Acting out, I think, like a live performance with the film on the screen or whatever. But in that Truth or Dare sequence, he's not very happy in their relationship. He's kind of almost like taken aback by the fact that she's saying he's her boyfriend. He's like, I don't have her saying this or whatever, but it's like, I don't want to hurt her feelings kind of thing. So it's kind of like gritting his teeth and going through it all. And Patrick asks, was it truth? For that, and it's firstly. And he says, how's your relationship going? And Charlie's coming out with like, I wish one of us had cancer so that we had a reason to end it kind of thing. And it kind of like, almost like cuts or like fades out like, hey, Charlie, as if like he was kind of spaced out.
Yeah.
So I was like, did that actually happen? Was that actually the question? And then when he does do the dare of like kiss the prettiest girl in the room, and he kisses Sam. Maybe he was thinking that, oh, this is still just a
Vision, dream.
in my head or whatever. This isn't actually real. And then after the fact, it's like, oh shit, this was actually happening, kind of thing. So,
and I think, to be fair to Charlie, he's really wanted to end this with what's her name, Mary Elizabeth.
Yeah.
And bless him, it's just a confidence thing. He doesn't know how to. He doesn't know how he's got into this situation. He didn't really expect it to go anywhere. He just wanted to kind of go to prom and kiss her, and then that'd be that. I think he didn't assume they were going to be then going out and him having a phone call with her every day for an hour and a half. And
I can imagine that being really annoying.
Thanks, Paul.
No, like I said, literally, like saying, like, what happened other than the bus ride home? Like, why you calling me from the, like, just stop being so clingy.
But then you are at that age, like, girls are, like, they want to be constantly attached to you at that stage. And to be fair, it's not really working because they don't have the same interests. Charlie's getting the books off the teacher and she's like, oh, what are we reading now? And then she's mocking it.
Yeah.
And she's not really being supportive towards him.
Yeah.
So, to be fair, she got what she deserved in the end, I think.
Yeah. And then it's almost like she has a bit of a switch in personality, in the sense like she's got almost like wearing the glasses.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, it wasn't working out for us. You understand, don't you? It's like, we just weren't on the same level. And it's like being a pretentious, like, film snob almost.
But also, I think what hurts Charlie the most is because she's been friends with him a lot longer, they cut Charlie out, and Charlie's then kind of isolated and alone.
Yeah, it's like, stop calling everybody, you're just embarrassing yourself, and it's like, it's strange that especially as, like, Sam was, I guess, well, obviously she was the one who was kissed, although she didn't really, like, recoil or anything like that initially, but despite, they sort of know a little bit, like, there's something a bit off with Charlie, but they kind of, like, they're almost, like, pushing him aside a little, and just isn't very fair. But I don't know about, I guess it's obviously for the fluidity of going through the story, it almost seems quite quickly they're quick to accept him back into the group.
Yeah, but he has to do a lot to get back in the group, doesn't he?
Yeah. I'm saying, like, it's almost like the next day, and then, like, he helps out Patrick from call them the bullies, the jocks, whatever, beating him up, and then steps in, and then after that, it's like, oh, you're back in the group now.
Yeah, but I think as well, it's more like down to Sam and Patrick, isn't it? I think they're like the main two in the group.
Yeah.
And it's up to them. And obviously, there's a lot of history with Sam and Mary Elizabeth, where lots of boyfriends of Sam, well, Sam's taken them off Mary Elizabeth. There seems to be a bit of a history there. So I don't think it was just Charlie's fault. To be honest, I think this was just like the camel that broke the. What's the saying?
Straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, that's it.
I guess
he does step up for Patrick in more than several ways, and I think that's when him and Sam's relationship changes.
Yeah, cool.
Because Sam's like, "Oh, you saved my brother, and of course you are. Welcome back."
Yeah, no, he was very brave in that. I don't think I would have the courage to have done that, even though technically he didn't really know what he was in, kind of like blacked out at that point.
I feel like if you got raged, and if it was somebody you loved, I feel like you'd turn into the Hulk. I feel like that's what you'd be. You would be like the soft, caring. What's the other guy that's not the Hulk's name now? Doctor, whoever is.
Bruce Banner.
Yeah, you'd be him.
Yeah.
And that is you. And then if something enraged you, and like if somebody was hurting me, I do think you would
instincts
change.
will kick in. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I guess
it would.
And then maybe I would sort of. I feel like that's why I don't like confrontation a lot of the time, is because I feel like heat in the moment, but then kind of once it's over and it's the realization, like, oh, what have I done, kind of thing, and it's almost like either get really kind of upset about it a little bit, but I don't think it would black out completely, like, oh, what the hell happened, because obviously you see that, and it's like he looks down his fist and, oh, got a bruise on it and whatever,
but
and
you
everyone's
don't know
like,
if that's because
shock
he's
and awe.
Being punched as well, to be fair, and being knocked out a little bit, because it doesn't look like it doesn't look like, because he doesn't got like a cut on his mouth or anything like that. But no, good on him for standing up to his friends, because they mean a lot to him, and he had to. They've helped him through a lot. Yeah, and I think it shows how much. Yeah, it shows how much he cares for them. I think they're his family.
Yeah,
and it shows. I think that's what your friends are a little bit as well. Like, they've helped you develop and grow as to who you
Mhm.
are today
Yeah.
as your character and made you grow and such.
Yeah, because like when it comes to Christmas time, and you were like, "Oh, it's a Christmas film."
It is
Yeah,
technically, yeah.
When they're doing the
Oh.
Secret Santa stuff and all that kind of stuff, it's like, it looks really sweet. Like how they're all like getting all these thoughtful gifts to one another, and
Yeah.
it's like really supportive of him being in the smart suit and everything. And yeah,
It's like when Alex was there on your wedding day, saying you're looking quite dapper and everything.
yeah.
Yeah, it is. And I would love to do something like that with our friends around Christmas time. I think that looks really sweet and magical. It did feel a really kind of bit of sentimental Christmas as well. What Christmas is actually about. Not you commercialising or, oh, who's got the biggest tree. I know I love a great big Christmas tree, but it's not all about that,
I
is
get
it?
what you mean, yeah.
It's just spending time with the people that you care about and love the most.
Yeah. I think that reflects that really well, so it did a good job of that. And I think that it's obviously like cinematography, like the lighting and stuff.
So cosy.
It really did feel like that. And even at the beginning, where obviously when you're just going through the credits and the tunnel and stuff, it kind of just feels, just something about it feels wholesome.
And even though it gives you this kind of dark-seeded story of like of trauma and mental illness, there's still something so much lightness about it and positivity within the film of the way that it is filmed, the way that you do have your characters that are being supportive, and even though it's dark, it's not. Does that make sense?
I get where you're coming from, yeah.
Because
it's done in a way that it's not. I mean, it depends how mentally stable you are when you're watching the film, I guess. Because obviously, if you're going through something like that, it might again
trigger
not be something. But it's done in a way that I think a lot of people can relate to, because it's like, I say, like an authentic high school film that kind of like shows you, I know what you're talking about with this film. So Stephen Chbosky, who directed this film, he was the one he wrote the book and then he adapted the screenplay for this film to be made. So he's clearly done a good job. It's like there's no one else who could direct, take someone, just random director to do it. In my bet, no, that's not the vision I want to do. So he felt it's so important to tell the story in a visual form, not just from the book. Then he had to take the reins, do it. So I think he's done an excellent job of
100%. I really thoroughly enjoyed this film with the way that it was produced, how relatable it is, how sincere the characters are, and the way that they act within
absolutely,
it. The bond they've got is really, really well portrayed and covers something that is a bit of a touchy subject, but done in a softer manner.
Such a way that, it doesn't really delve on it too heavily.
No. And all through this, you're really just rooting for Charlie.
Yeah.
He's the underdog. He's had a hard time. You just want the best for him. And I feel, in the end, he does. He's got his friends, like, even though he's gone into hospital and kind of gets to a point of where his friends have left, they've gone to college, and he's got like another 360 odd days in
it's that poor guy. It's
school without his mates. And he realises, actually, I think him and Sam pretty much he loses his virginity to Sam. And he realises then, actually, this is what happened. I've not lost my virginity, technically. You don't really know how bad that was as a child or what stage that goes to, but it's implied.
Yeah, but obviously, like, Sam's touching his leg and it's like, oh god, that's triggering something I didn't even know happened until now.
Which is awful to say it's your first experience and you want it with somebody you really care about.
Yeah, because before she said, like, oh, I want your first kiss to be sort of special. And so in the mindset of that, it's like, that's a bit messed up, because obviously she had a boyfriend at that point. And so it's like, well, what do I take from that? Because that was something that seemed like really, she was really into it. And obviously he wanted that also, but it's like, well, this can't really go any further at this point. I think
it led him on a little bit, didn't it? Which was not fair. But at the same time, I think she was coming from a good place within her heart, because she'd been classed as the kind of teenage kind of sleep around girl. Yeah. And I think she hadn't got a really good reputation.
And that she opened up to the fact to Charlie, like he did with her, that her first kiss wasn't with the normal stuff, like a young boy. It was her dad's boss or something. It's like, okay, you've got some trauma of your own in that sense. And you wouldn't necessarily look from looking at her that kind of stuff would have gone on.
Oh, you don't know what people go through, do you? You really don't. Like, everyone has a good facade and kind of pretends that life is hunky-dory. You never know what actually people have experienced. So I kind of understand, but technically you don't actually know if she was his first kiss. She's just assuming because she didn't know Charlie's background at this point. And Charlie suppressed it so much that he probably didn't realise until later on. But I do like the ending bit where they go and knock on the door and go, "Can Charlie play out?"
Yeah.
And then that's when your hero song comes back in again.
Yeah, and all that other dialogue, that like monologue that Charlie says, and it's like, oh, really hits like with what he's saying, and it's like, oh, it was really, really powerful. Yeah, what's got to say. So good job, Stephen.
I don't think we've actually covered also Charlie's family aspect in this. So obviously Charlie has a mum and dad that are still together. He's got an older sister with her boyfriend.
He's got an older brother, hasn't he?
And an older brother who's
also a jock as well. Yeah.
Gone to uni, I think, and kind of left home for a little bit. I think him and his brother kind of had a big connection, and he would have been there for
him at school. But, yeah, because I think his dad's obviously more about the sports and everything like that.
Yeah, and his sister's going out with this. What's his name?
Ponytail Derek.
And he and her have a bit of a heated argument, and he slaps her, and Charlie's like seething.
Yeah, I think there's something there as well. Obviously, with his aunt as well, I think there was probably abuse in her past as well. So I think there's something tied to that as well. That's probably why he's angry. It's like he might have seen his aunt be abused by somebody, a boyfriend or something like that, or maybe she told him about something. But
I think this is where Charlie, bless him, he just takes on the world with everybody's pain and suppresses his own, but cares about everyone's happiness. Like, he even, bless him, tutors Sam. Obviously, he wants to get close to her as well.
Yeah.
You know, we always have that in like, even Mean Girls has that where...
Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't get this. Could you... Yeah, it's just to get close to that person. Yeah.
And spend time with them. But also, Charlie's taking it upon himself to help Sam to actually get into a better college and university. Yeah. He wants the best for everybody.
Yeah, and everybody sort of gets more or less what they want to get into the schools, colleges, universities after the fact. And that's quite like a emotional point as well. Like yes, after all this time, it's finally happening, and you feel really happy for them, as you should do.
You do. And I think university and college is so much more different to school. Like, you actually meet your people, the people who are different.
Normally friends for life, after that. Yeah. Your hormones have kind of balanced out a little bit, and you kind of know sort of more who you are as a person normally. And then you can obviously then find the right sort of people to hang around with, and it's not as cliquey.
It isn't, and even if you've got a certain group, they still seem to get along. Even if you have a popular group compared to like a nerdier kind of, they seem to be more harmonious within one another. Yeah, still people at the end of the day,
and that connection is always important. Yeah, to be honest. Before we get to rounding things off, the other thing is with how, so I think it was shortly after the whole point when Patrick got beaten up and hanging around with Charlie again. And I think that's been a knock to Patrick's confidence a little bit, because he's like, oh, my life's an after school special, and I just want to meet like a really nice guy. And then he like looks at Charlie as if like, oh, maybe you're the one. Yeah. And then kisses him and realizes, no, there's nothing there. And then he kind of just like almost like breaks down, cries on his shoulder, and is like, oh, dude. Yeah. Like, he just wants to find love as well and be accepted for what it is. And it's like, it's not there, but it's like, it doesn't ruin anything from that. It's not like Charlie goes, oh, what are you doing? Or all.
No,
like
Charlie seems to be really supportive of everybody and embrace them. Like, even when he finds out about Patrick and the jock, he's like, I won't say anything. It's fine. Yeah. Like,
obviously, you said, are you high at the moment? It's like, yeah, I am. So maybe he's like, oh, well, maybe we'll just forget about it.
But even then, he kind of, the trust starts to build, doesn't it, from there?
Yeah. So it's, I mean, even at the end with Patrick and stuff, you think he's going to be okay.
Yeah. You think all of them are going to actually get a new start, and even though they've had rough times and hard times, they're all coming out of it together.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Right, so
who goes first in this situation?
Let me see. So with Battle Royale last time, because it was your first time watching it, so it was
Me.
so that technically it'd be my
Yes.
first time.
Hee.
I know you did listen back to.
Oh my god, it's so boring. I hope we've done better.
Oh yeah, no. In terms of talking about it, yeah. No, I think we definitely have. But in terms of what the scores are, I don't think you listened to.
I didn't get that far, Paul. I was like, how are we so drab in this dialogue? Like, we've definitely come a long way. Because we did kind of, was it like a 20 minute? Not even
20
that.
minutes. 20
Yeah.
minutes. Short one, yeah. But if anybody, for whatever reason,
wants to suffer and waste 20 minutes of life.
Yeah. See how we did approach it back in the day, in the early days.
I was even quiet. Like, my voice sounds quiet, which is surprising. I think I was quite shy and was like, oh, I don't know what to say. Now you can't shut me up, can you?
But if you do want to go and listen to that, I think I'm going to put that on the Patreon page as a separate, like, bonus type of thing. So if you are intrigued, sign up to listen to what we sounded like. But so, do you want me to tell you what your score was when you initially watched it? So you gave it an 8.5.
Okay.
I gave it an 8.
What? So I scored it higher than you. I am surprised. I thought you'd have scored this a lot higher than that.
Yeah. I'm going to score a lot higher now.
Interesting. Cool. Spit it out.
9.5.
9.5, and why? Why not a 10?
I was going to say that. I don't know what can push it to a 10.
More Heroes songs? Is that what you want in Tunnel?
I can't actually really pinpoint what it is that it makes. What is that extra 0.5 for this? But at the same time, it's like I really sort of connect with what the film is going for, and there's something that does keep me coming back.
Well, you've watched it 4 times.
Yeah.
Is it because you see yourself in Charlie that it's too scary to give it a 10?
I guess it's more down to a little bit of like assessing things like, oh, am I giving a lot of things a 10?
Okay.
It's really difficult to explain why it is the score I'm giving it, but it just is.
Okay. Okay. Well, when we have a child, don't just say that is because it is. We need to explain certain things, but I will let you off on this one. Only because my score, I'm going to give it a 10.
I guess I was slightly worried as to what you were going to say on that. I guess it was part of it as well, because I thought, oh, you weren't going to give it 10 because David Bowie's song was in it.
No. It doesn't ruin it.
Right.
I would still give it a 10. I can't knock the fact that they use that song. That's not their fault.
Okay.
If they think that's a Tunnel song, then they think that's a Tunnel song.
Okay.
But for me, it's the characters, it's the roles, it's the way it's done. It is hard touching and it is a bit kind of a sore subject, but at the same time, the way they do that is really, really cleverly done. That actually, it's not all about that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it shows a really good mental health awareness within this film, which people don't truly see in many, many films. And this is done in a light enough hearted way that lots of people could actually enjoy this film. And all you really care about is Charlie being better. Mm-hmm. And as long as you've got that foundation within life, you're pretty much set. And I think overall it gives you an emotion of different feelings within this film. You've got happy, you've got sad, you've got anger. You're up and down. Even I cried at this film. And yeah, okay, it's not exactly like a Singing in the Rain, like 10. But it's still a 10 for what it gives.
Yeah.
It's not like one of those, like, every weekend I would put it on, like, La La Land, Singing in the Rain.
Sure.
Like you would. Yeah.
That's why I can't maybe not give it a 10. And I also think, obviously, I feel like it's almost like on the same lines as Licorice Pizza for me. I enjoy it, but there's something that's not quite giving it the push. I guess it's more let's put it on like immediately or kind of come back to it. something
You
that
need a bit of space.
overall through it that's like, oh yeah, I'm looking forward to. There are things where I'm looking forward to that scene or sequence or whatever, but there's just something about that's not quite there for me. But I am quite in my head. I was like, I'm really hoping that you were going to give it a 10 because I thought it was going to be that way of like for your experience and your growth and everything from.
So I haven't disappointed you.
Films. But I was like thinking, is she going to give it like 9 or 9.5 because of the Bowie song?
No.
But
I feel like this is also a little bit for me comparing to my other 10, like Skeleton Twins. I see that kind of like that with this film a little bit. It's got that darkness to it, but
that's
also
a lot
has
darker,
light humour. And I think this is how I kind of see this film as well. It's I would put them in a par with one another. If that makes sense, compared to like my La La Land and Singing in the Rain, different categories in my head that are worthy both of being 10s.
And I guess what I've kind of gathered from our experience with these films, or the ones that you sort of are scoring really high, are kind of like those kind of dramas that are kind of like people that feel real emotions, real scenarios that you can sort of relate to, but like, oh, I'm glad I'm not going through that, I guess, in a sense. Or it's not like, obviously certain films that are like fantastical, like obviously La La Land was like dance sequences that are actually real. Or say on the extreme of like, oh, sci-fi stuff, it's like, well, yeah, go to the cinema for escapism of that caliber, whereas this is stuff that you really feel for what the people are going through and stuff. And I think that's your little niche of what you like in films, I suppose. I don't know correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I think so. And it also makes me feel better about my life. I know it sounds daft. Sometimes you look at a film and you're like, oh, why don't I have this? Why am I not looking like whoever? Whereas these are so down to earth and raw. And I think that's relatable. And you can kind of think, actually, I'm quite lucky. My life isn't half as bad as what Charlie has gone through. And I'm blessed for that.
But you can take something away from that, like some like life lesson of sorts.
You learn
or a
from
quote.
it.
It's like, oh my God, I didn't see it that way. Yeah. Good stuff. So I hope I made myself a bit more clearer at the back end from that.
I think I've helped you.
Yeah. Finding the words. See, this is what I struggle with sometimes. It's like, why is that? Things like, I don't quite know why, but I need a little push to.
That's why we're such a good partnership.
Get me.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you very much for listening to this episode. Hope you enjoyed finally hearing our thoughts on it.
It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, so I was quite excited to have gone through all this again.
It was really nice. It's refreshing. It kind of gives you a little bit of a open to other things that we can do and not always having to watch new things exactly. I think that's what we like about the birthday specials, because we always kind of go back to something that we've both seen. And then a film with neither one of us have seen, and then one that I haven't seen. So it kind of links back to that, which is quite nice, actually. Yeah.
So I guess off the back of that, then it's like if people are interested in like hearing us cover films that we have seen a long time ago, and it's like, oh, let's go back and revisit it. In a sense, obviously, you might not know what we have seen, but obviously, if there's enough interest in something like that, just do let us know.
Yeah,
and
100%.
We'll try and feed that into the format. Maybe we do
two Sophie hasn't seen, and then one Sophie's seen, and one
I don't know. Figure
Paul
out.
and Sophie haven't seen.
Yeah,
maybe that might be something like to look into if people are interested.
Yeah. But if you would like to check out some other episodes, you can do so over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and wherever else you get your podcasts from.
We also have a social media pages. So obviously we're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok under the handle SP_filmviewers. So hit all those likes and comments and support everything that Paul buys, basically. It's pretty much what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, so on the show as well.
Yeah.
In amongst all that, when it's called for. And if you like to support us, you could do so by joining our Patreon family. We've got 5 people who are already part of that family.
Woo-woo!
Who are your mum.
My lovely mum.
Mark from 100 Things We Learned from Film. Ben from Film Vloggers. Our friend Jones. at Weight Loss Jonesy on Instagram, and Nico from the Good, the Bad and the Weird podcast.
Just a little bit of a spoiler, there's something coming up next week.
Next time.
Yeah, that's going to be on that as well with Nico. So, yeah, just watch this space.
For what's coming up, yeah.
Session. And everybody else's podcasts that are on our Patreon are fantastic. So please do go and support them. Go listen to them. Give them the loves as well, because they are fantastic. And to be honest, it feels like with us doing this, we've created our own little podcast family without us realising.
Absolutely.
You reach out and you talk to people, and it's so nice because you talk to people who are at the other side of the world, and you dedicate time to make an effort to talk about films.
Absolutely. Yeah, so again, it's like a little family, like with Charlie and everything. You've got to grow in those islands of misfits.
Yeah, and I think for you as well, Paul, this is massive. Like, us doing this, like, imagine you being back at high school doing that. Like, even me, it just blows my mind.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, yeah. Obviously, if you do want to shout out and the chance to vote on what we watch once a month, all you need to do is go to patreon.com/SP Film Viewers, give us a quid, it's $1.50, whatever the conversion rate is, and sign up. That's all you need to do. And it's just a good little way to support the show and just have that interaction with us.
Yeah, and helps Paul buy more DVDs, let's be honest. If you do want to also join us on a podcast or have us on your podcast, we are more than happy to do that. So if anybody is keen to want to make that happen, just reach out to us. Paul will probably talk to you.
Yeah.
And be back at you in like 2 seconds.
Yeah. And very, very last thing, just to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, and wherever else they do the scoring system. That'd be very much appreciated too. So that's that. It's a wrap.
Really enjoyed it. So thank you all for listening. I hope everybody else has enjoyed it as much as we have enjoyed talking about it.
Yeah, no, I've really have enjoyed talking about this again. Thank you very much for listening, and we will speak to you next time.
Speak to you next time.
Bye.
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 Bye.